Hey everybody, editing tafony here. I'm going to start the video off today. I shot this Oxi One video 4 separate times. One of them was because I lost my Final Cut project. I've been trying to thread the needle with expressing my frustration with the button combos, but ultimately kind of conceding that it's not for me because of the type of music I make and the focus I want to put on that. The shortest version I could possibly give here. There's lots to love about the Oxi One, but if you're going to make 4 on the floor techno like I like to do, all of that stuff sort of gets in the way. So anyway, please don't crucify me. It sounds like this. Okay, before we get started, this might be a bit of a weird video. I feel like there is so much to the Oxi, and there have been so many videos demonstrating better than I ever could all of its minutia, all of the new features, all of the different types of sequencer that you could go through. I just want to kind of tell my thoughts, share my stories with it. I think there's already so much out there deep diving it from the manufacturers and people who received this from them directly. I just want to share my thoughts and feelings and explore it a little bit as well with you today. So on that note, we're just going to play this little project I had going here, and then we can roll from there. I do like demonstrating things by actually walking through and trying to make a patch. In lots of videos I watch where they demonstrate all the different features and the selling points, basically, I think kind of getting an idea for the workflow itself gets a little bit lost in there. So we'll definitely do some of that later on in this video as well. But before we get into all that, some context with the Oxi One and I got it before I owned any Eurorack. I pre-ordered the Mark 1 before it was launched, and then I got it as soon as it got to Canada. I didn't bounce off of it super hard at the time, but I remember feeling like it was just like not quite what I was looking for, and then I was moving into Eurorack and some things got switched around. But then it was always kind of in the back of my mind, I really love the idea of just learning and mastering one sequencer. I really love that it is battery powered. It's a standalone unit. You could kind of bring a songwriting workflow, if you would, to any device and not have to learn its own individual workflows. That could be old gear you could hook this up to. That can be modular. That can be all these different things. It could just be the one workflow from which I learned to go on. Before the Mark 2 came out, I got the Mark 1 again. The second time around I had it, I was into Eurorack, and I bounced off of it really hard that time and almost fire sold it, I guess, because I was, if you're into Eurorack, you've probably had those experiences where you're just so frustrated by something and you really just want to like get it out of your sight, right? Because there's this relationship with the gear where sometimes if I'm frustrated by it, I'm sort of feeling like it owes me something, that it just kind of has to go. So out went that second Mark 1. So recently somebody offered me this Mark 2 in a trade that I was interested in, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to check it out for a third time with the Mark 2, which they've made some revisions to, and most importantly, it's an opportunity to make a video with my thoughts on the whole thing. So I'll talk kind of broadly about my gripes with the Oxis, but I would just want to say, because I'm fresh off the back of the Isu's Trifecta video, for 2 reasons here. One, I have this view, and it's an ongoing theme on the channel, where I love screens and I hate button combos, and I view screens as a silver bullet for avoiding button combos. It's not true for everything. Some modules with screens have lots of button combos. The Oxi One, especially the Mark 1, has lots of button combos. I made that video ranking every Eurorack sequencer that I've tried, and I talked about the Mark 1 in that video. One of the things that I pointed out in the comments is that most everything requires a button combo, and that still applies. It comes to something like setting your pattern length. It's done by holding shift and paging through with these arrow keys. It kind of always leaves me asking the same thing. Why not just make one single source of truth and have it be the screen? I would forgo a lot of these performance tools myself for arrow keys, an enter, and a back key, and then we could just have everything controlled by the the menu, because this button combo and things are being expressed in the pad grid as well on lots of things is probably the worst offender of those two. It's just not how I'm wired, and when it's frustrating me, it kind of combines with this issue where the encoders don't line up with where their values are, right? The 4 menu items at the bottom are coinciding to different items like the repeat, that one's gate, but the encoders are, in the case of the 4th item, is right above the 3rd encoder, so is that gate? Well, these are just like, when it comes to getting into like even making this video, I dreaded it for days and days. Just like, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do all the CV setup with that screen, and I'm gonna have to remember all the button combos. I'm gonna need the manual to go at everything here, and it's just not necessarily how I'm wired. And for a number of reasons, I'm more focused on doing song structures, like doing verses, choruses, bridges. That's kind of where I'm thinking with this. It's not really so focused on that. Everything on here is kind of built for generative and happy accidents and like performing on the fly, which is totally fun, totally valid, but it's kind of not what I'm looking for in a sequencer. This performance mode can totally do that, but again, things are being conveyed to you by button combos, and you need to go to one of the many great YouTube demos or consult the manual, and it's just like not where my head is at. So like I always say, I'm just one person, no two people's preferences and needs are alike. I love the idea of a dedicated sequencer like this that can be the brains of every operation, but it just doesn't necessarily jive with me on that front. Now, there are some things that I really love about it as well, but that's why I've bounced off of it in the past. Now, the Mark II adds an extra row here, which not only means we get buttons for all of the 8 sequencers, which they've added 4 more, that also means there are some more buttons freed up here for less menu diving. And again, I'm okay with menu diving. I just don't like button combos because I can never remember them. And they've really made lots of improvements to make it less button combo-y, less menu divey as well, but I still don't really think it's for me, and that's okay. One of those improvements is a lot of our options, be it, let's just go into generate here, no mod. And I'll use this opportunity to talk about the mod page real quick, is the blinking page value here. So when there's a second lane and submenus, it kind of tries to indicate it here by blinking at you via the page command. Again, I would prefer just, arrow keys and enter button to this sort of workflow, but that's okay. If we hit back, we'll go back in here. There's lots of other things I could say here. Mod lanes are kind of more focused on MIDI CCs in my mind. You can also modulate through other parameters the sequencer itself, but I think as someone who's using this for Eurorack almost exclusively in my mind, I don't necessarily use MIDI CCs, and I find the mod setup to be a bit of a pain here. Again, if anything was to be worthy of your patience and learning curve, it would be your sequencer, but it's funny in all the product demos to see so much talk of this new flow button. They added a fill function basically, so if we go into our first sequencer, you can add, hold flow, add some triggers. Those will be flow triggers. Let it go, they won't play. Probably can't hear this in the sea of other percussive triggers, but if we hold flow now, our fill conditions will go. There's also electron style, not flow, if it has that. It's interesting given how insanely deep this box is to just see so much praise for that. I think it's funny. And it is amazing what they've done with this. And the insane amount of depth, I feel, kind of gets in the way of the simplicity. There's stuff like this matricial sequencer. Lots of viewers will love this stuff. For me, I value the simplicity and the linearity, I guess, of trying to write song structures and stuff. So stuff like this, totally not for me. But what I do really appreciate is with the 8 sequencers, you don't have to necessarily, and again, I'm very percussion focused in my songs, but you don't have to use either the multi-track or the poly modes. Before, when you had 4 sequencers, you had to kind of say, okay, this is my drum sequencer. I'll do poly mode. We'll set up all the different tracks, but it made muting and other things kind of complicated. Yes, doing it this way means you can only edit one track at a time. There's reasons to do it the other way, but I do like kind of setting it up in this way where I can just come in and we'll hold mute and I can just go track by track. Right? So if I want to bring in an intro, notice they queue up, right? Comes in at the next bar, bring in 2. Here we go. Bring in my kick. Yeah. So on that note, while I've already been rambling about it for a long time, I am using the Oxi pipe. I don't think there is anything really to be said about that. I don't think it denotes its own episode. It's an awesome way to simplify all of the analog outputs by using an HDMI cable to plug it into the rack. Right now I'm triggering a bunch of Eurorack drum modules, and I'm using CV for pitch sequencing on the 1. Ohm Force Boom for the kick, and then the other voices are the Flame Fire. So let's start a new project, I'd say. So let's, maybe I don't feel too attached to this project. Lots of praise was also hailed as well to the SD card copying to and from it. I feel like the focus on matricial and other stuff isn't something that you necessarily want to save as much in my mind. Like, it's not as much of a songwriting tool. I feel like the focus on generative stuff kind of keeps it as a moment in time for me and not necessarily as much something you want to save. But then there's a use case for everything, and I'm sure lots of people are wanting to save the things that they've generated. So, but that's just not something I would use. So let's do clear project. Yes, I'll come in and see here. There is a many different thing to do. We have a keyboard view. Before we do anything, we need to set up CV Gate. And this is kind of one of the many spots where I dislike the way that there's so much reliance on the grid view, I guess, the LEDs. You got to remember the placement of all these and what these mean. I already see some blue icons coming in there. What do they mean? I don't know. Everything requires the manual on this, unfortunately. If we brought in the scope and simplicity for me, I think that would be beneficial, but I feel like for a lot of the Eurorack community, that's some sacrilege. Track 6, I have a melodic voice, so we can audition it on here. And it's actually, and I have seen people at the Vancouver Synth Meet using this, and the form factor is perfect for that, but I have seen people on the fly, along to their drums, playing this keyboard, right? In this case, the illuminated buttons are the white keys, and the black keys are the unilluminated ones. I wonder if you get the white version. Is it inverted? On the white version, before I forget, because the first time I shot this video I did forget, the Mark 1s I owned were the white version. I prefer the look of the more clear white pad, so you can see more LEDs in the pad section, but the black version has a nicer color to the unit itself, the actual aluminum part of it. Give us both. I want to have half of one, half of the other. The pads here that are kind of MPC style, MPC Live 3 style, where they're illuminated on the outside. I prefer the other style, but I want the darker color. Anyway, this one's used, so it doesn't matter. Now you can record this in too if I want to. Throw that in. Oh, am I being cued? Nope. Okay. I guess it didn't record. No? Again, oh, it's because I'm in matricial mode. Let's go into matricial mode. So if I hold shift, again, button combo to do everything. Shift. And then we'll put this down into mono mode. So now if I preview it, hit record, hit play. 3, 4. Oh. Record, play. I don't know how much lead in I have. Maybe it... again, I don't find that very immediate. What I do really like is the hands-onness of this. I will say generically, I dislike the piano roll workflow in general. I don't see myself writing melodies in that way. However, getting my hands on this, the hands-on feel of it and live manipulating it, I guess, actually feels really, really good. There's just like something, it feels like you're interacting with it in a way that other stuff doesn't do. Now, this isn't quantized. Well, this is quantized to chromatic, so if we hold shift, because everything's a button combo, we come in and adjust our scale, which is the third encoder, and we'll make it major, and you change your root to D. It doesn't really matter, we could just transpose it on the fly there, but this is really the very best of the Oxi for me. I love coming in here and just doing it on the fly, right? And there's generate options, but I feel like to me you're kind of missing the hands-on-ness of it as well by doing that, right? And it's nice to come in here, we'll go generate. I don't really get where they forgo the paging option here for this double menu, but that's okay. We can increase our density for generating, increase the root spread, the number of pulses, and the note length. We're shuffling. And if I go back to 0, I don't believe any of that was destructive, so we go back, we'll just have our sequence back. Nope. And then, interesting, there's like a end length there, but we can also change it here. Change that to 32. Tap in some notes, and then I'll get going on my drum track. It's nice, you can both jump an octave at the performance page, but I like to do it here. We could just use this encoder. Sorry. Nope. This one. Go down an octave. Change my sound a little bit. This is a qubit surface. The fact that they looked at this device and were able to add an accumulator and everything is splendid, is crazy, is the amount of depth here is an engineering marvel. The fact that they're able to fit those things in at all is genuinely a feat, but I do feel like scope creep is also a thing. Now, because I've set this up so each track is a sequence, we won't be using CV on that track, but on a track like 5, I have only used CV out and no gates, so we can use this to modulate, and this will modulate our filter cutoff. So if I send that positive, yeah, I love sequencing CV. That's another thing. Like, the form factor, the hands-on experience of using this sequencer is awesome. It's the other stuff. I think the scope here for me got in the way of the immediacy. Let's add some snares in. But it feels really good to just bring those in like that, right? So if we come into track 4, if I record and go to preview, can I drum some stuff in? Again, I don't know why this isn't going. I have record on, I have play going. I don't get it. Oh, there it went. Okay. There we go. I do like that about it, being able to live drum in. Okay, but then why didn't that record? Is it because I didn't hit stop? I'm not getting... Oh, it was counting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if... I actually quite like that. If we go into... I like the workflow. If we go into 4, we'll hold shift and press that. We'll bring this over into multi-track. And then this could be assigned individually, but I know this is going to be a headache at the CV page where this needs to be individually assigned if I wanted to. But if I came into this one and now I hit the keyboard, oh, we get sections. Oh, see, that's the conundrum with like depth of this, right? Because when you get something this deep, and some jerk on the internet like me says, oh, I really wish it had live recording for multiple pads at the same time. Well, so I can complain about the scope creep, but then it also has everything I could possibly want covered, and they have updated the crap out of this thing too, so... Oh dear. Putting my foot in my mouth is the only thing I do on this channel. I don't envy manufacturers in the slightest, because... what would you do to deal with all these things? Like, so no two end users are like, how do you keep everyone happy? And I don't have an answer for that. I don't envy them at all. Okay, 1, sequencer 1. So then this has tracks, but how do I can only do 1 track per multi-track. How do I assign my CV to that same one? Can I move it over to 1? Like, what if I want to use all of them on different tracks at gate 1? I want to use CV for that. Maybe that's a MIDI thing only. I would hate that, because maybe at the performance view, can I? Seems my performance view has changed. So I'm muting and unmuting subtracks, I think is what this is. This performance view is another big addition recently, and I'm just like, learning curve. Oh, we got fill and loop. At least the screen is telling me on this one. When the settings at the bottom, it doesn't even show me anything. I'm just muting and unmuting the 8th track, I guess. So you can use like Euclidean fills. Ugh. This is the thing. Well, I guess when it comes to doing a Euclidean fill, it's just like that is something with a depth that would require the manual or other views. So in my head, I'm like, there's so much depth here, and the simple things that make it so great seem to be behind this wall of confusion for me. And then I'm like, is it worth getting around? Because I'm already of like the thought that I should be putting this time in the MPC, right? If Electron was to come in and make a device like this with the CVIO, I realize I'm suggesting an improved tone work basically, but if they made the sequencer with analog heat effects on there, maybe not even heat, just like sequenceable effects and triggers for outboard gear, analog ones for us Eurorack heads. I just feel like the form factor of this really speaks to something beautiful, but the unique workflow that comes with it on board is just like, I don't know. But also, this could be your world and it would reward you for it too. Alright, I'm tafony. Let's speed the BPM up and we'll end the video. I've been putting this video off for like 2 weeks, trying to put together the thoughts, try and explore it more, and the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, not sure how to go about it. Also, before everyone crucifies me, I think there's also a bit of a juxtaposition where lots of the videos you see, the super popular ones, receive the module from the manufacturer directly, have a line of communication with them. Sometimes the manufacturer even pays them to make the video. It's showing off the features, not the workflow. I am just some guy. I bought this with my own money, and this is more of the discussions you see on a place like Mod Wiggler between users, because I'm just a user. I'm just some guy. Anyway, I'm trying to put some final thoughts together on the Oxys, if for no one but myself, because I still have a hard time making heads or tails of it, because there's some things I really love about it, but then the learning curve to fighting the wall of button combos seems, well, I should also say it's improved a lot since the first one, but it still is, it's impressively powerful, but I also feel like for my brain I'm better off focusing on learning the MPC Live 3, because it's more in line with the workflow that I am trying to go for, and focusing on songwriting and other stuff. But many people will love and appreciate the things it has on here. There's no doubt about that. I didn't even talk about the stochastic mode. So before this episode's 2 hours long, thank you so much for watching. I'm tafony. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Goodbye.